Good evening and welcome to Capital Online TV News. My name is Anita Nderu and these are the stories making headlines. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is now free to go ahead with the printing of the presidential ballots for the August 8th general election. This is after the Court of Appeal on Thursday set aside the High Court order requiring it to retender the ballots afresh after quashing the tender award to Al Ghurair on the grounds that there was no public participation. The Court of Appeal found that IEBC was not required to do so and also found that the High Court was wrong in adjudging that there was still time to procure them afresh.
The judgment of the High Court dated 7th of July 2017 be and is hereby set aside to the extent that the court erred in finding that public participation is a mandatory requirement in direct procurement.
It has, however, upheld the High Court finding that the National Super Alliance failed to provide reliable evidence that President Uhuru Kenyatta is improperly associated with the Dubai-based printing firm.
In granting the orders of certiorari ad mandamus, the learned judges erred and did not take into account the very real threatened breach of the right of millions of Kenyan voters enshrined in Article 38(2) and 136(2)(a) of the Constitution, being the right to free, fair, regular elections based on universal suffrage. The learned judges exercise their discretionary power in error. We find that this is a case in which an appellate court can and should interfere with such exercise of discretion.
Former Minister and long-time President Moi ally Nicholas Biwott was buried at his home in Elgeyo Marakwet on Thursday. There were both tears and laughter as family and friends testified to his character and deeds of his lifetime. President Uhuru Kenyatta was among those who attended the ceremony, but the First Lady Margaret Kenyatta was missed by Biwott's widow Hani. Biwott was also proprietor of a vast empire and a long-serving public servant who lives behind 3 widows, a handful of children and grandchildren. In an exclusive interview with Capital TV, Deputy President William Ruto once again expressed certainty that the Jubilee government will retain the presidency. He exuded confidence that President Uhuru Kenyatta will win next month's presidential contest by a larger margin than he did in the 2013 general elections. Speaking during a one-on-one interview with Capital FM presenter Rene Ngamao, Ruto said he is sure of a second term because the opposition is ill-prepared. He taunted the National Super Alliance led by Raila Odinga, stating that it has no agenda for Kenyans.
I really sympathize with our competitors because they have driven themselves into a hole to believe a lie. And they have made their supporters to believe a lie, you know. They lost the last election because their votes were fewer than ours, right? So they need more votes. It doesn't matter whether they protect these votes. And I don't know, they say they want 5 people. I don't know how many people to do, I don't know what. Really, you know. So what I'm saying is, they are not ready for this election because, number one, they don't have a credible agenda. They don't have a manifesto that they have written and they understand it was written for them by others. They have now been engaged in a long, treacherous road in court of trying to put roadblocks on this election. And you see, the election on 8th of August is not because Jubilee wants it. It's not because Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya, wants it. It's because the Constitution says that we'll have election, right? So we will have elections on the 8th of August. The sooner our competitors come to terms with that, the better, so that they can stop all these games. We see them in court every day. Understand they are even in court again. I don't know when. Their lawyer said yesterday or the day before that they want the elections postponed. I mean, surely, if because of your own confusion, you have failed to be ready for the election, how does that become an emergency for all Kenyans, that we stop the election because you are not ready? That's your problem. And I have volunteered advice to them that if they are not ready for this election, there is no problem. There is another election in 2022. They can take time between now and then to arrange themselves. There is no problem.
Lastly, President Uhuru Kenyatta on Thursday met with Chinese billionaire Jack Ma to discuss ways of empowering the youth through entrepreneurship. The talks between the president and Ma, who is the founder of the online retail giant Alibaba, centered on how to empower the youth through trade and innovation. The Chinese billionaire said Kenya can create more opportunities for trade through the use of e-commerce and that the country has the capacity to achieve that goal. President Kenyatta, on his part, said the Chinese businessman is an inspiration for millions of youth in Africa and especially in Kenya, where the youth generation has been setting global trends in innovation and technology.
I'm excited to meet the president and agree that we'll come back again and supporting more small business, young people, and the first ground to supporting the Africa, supporting Kenya. And thank you so much. It's an exciting trip.
Ma is accompanied by 38 other billionaires from the Chinese Chamber of Commerce who are in the country in search of business opportunities. And that's all we had for you today. For the latest on these and other stories, log on to www.capsulafm.co.ke/TV. I'm Anita Nderu. Have yourselves a great evening.